The crystalline spires of the Galactic Council Tower pierced the violet sky of Nexus Prime, casting prismatic shadows across the marble corridors where 1,000 species conducted the business of civilization. In one of the lower service quarters, Ryan wiped down the obsidian conference table with practiced efficiency, his weathered hands moving in steady circles. Humans were new to the galactic stage, barely 50 years since first contact, and their position remained precarious. Most served in menial roles, grateful for the opportunity to learn, to earn, to survive in a cosmos that viewed them as primitive latecomers. Ryan had served Ambassador Velthar of the Corinthian Empire for 12 years, and he did so with quiet dignity. His daughter Amy, barely 8 years old with braids the color of autumn wheat, sat in the corner doing her homework on a battered datapad. The mathematics of orbital mechanics fascinated her, though her teachers back on the human quarter expressed concern that she aimed too high. "Focus on practical skills," they'd said. "Service positions are stable." The emergency klaxon shattered the afternoon's peace. Red light flooded the tower as a voice boomed through the translation grid. "Code Helix! Repeat, Code Helix! Unknown vessel approaching at relativistic speed. All ambassadors to emergency session. This is not a drill." Ryan's blood turned cold. Code Helix meant potential extinction-level threat. He'd heard veterans speak of it in hushed whispers, the protocol that had been used only twice in galactic history, both times resulting in the sterilization of entire systems. Ambassador Velthar burst through the doors, his 6 limbs moving in agitation, crystalline eyes wide with something Ryan had never seen before: fear. The Corinthian was followed by a dozen other diplomats, representing species that had navigated the stars for millennia. "The vessel is broadcasting," Velthar announced, his translator struggling to keep pace with his rapid speech. "A mathematical sequence unlike anything in our databases. It's approaching the galactic core beacon at 98% light speed. Impact in 47 minutes. Evacuate the tower," suggested Ambassador Kixnall, her tentacles writhing. "If that vessel is hostile—" "There's no time," interrupted another. "The beacon's destruction would sever communications across 600 sectors. Billions would be isolated, vulnerable." Ryan ushered Amy toward the door, but she resisted, her small hand gripping his sleeve. "Papa, wait. Can I hear the sequence?" "Amy, this isn't—" "The child speaks?" Velthar's compound eyes swiveled toward them. In his panic, the ambassador seemed to have forgotten the humans were even present. "This is not a matter for—" "Please," Amy said, her voice clear and steady. "Just let me hear it." Perhaps it was the absurdity of the moment, or perhaps Velthar recognized something in the child's eyes that reminded him why the Corinthians had sponsored humanity's petition to the Council in the first place. He gestured, and the audio feed crackled to life. The sequence poured into the chamber, a cascade of tones, rising and falling in patterns that seemed almost organic. The assembled diplomats, beings who had studied xenolinguistics for centuries, listened with growing desperation. 43 minutes remained. Amy closed her eyes, her lips moving silently. Ryan watched his daughter with a mixture of pride and terror. She'd always been gifted with patterns, could solve puzzles that baffled adults, could hear music in things that seemed like noise. "It's not a language," she said suddenly. "Not exactly." The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to the small human child in the worn jumpsuit. "What do you mean?" Velthar asked, his voice softer now. "It's a question," Amy explained, pulling up her datapad. Her fingers flew across the interface, pulling up the mathematical sequences she'd been studying. "See? It's asking for a proof, the Riemann hypothesis." "Impossible," breathed Kixnall. "That's a primitive mathematical conjecture from Earth," Ryan finished quietly. It's from Earth. Amy was already working, her small fingers translating the abstract problem into the universal mathematical notation used by the Council. They're not attacking. They're asking if anyone's home, if anyone can think. 38 minutes. The child is correct, confirmed the tower's artificial intelligence, its voice tinged with what might have been surprise. The sequence is indeed structured around an unsolved human mathematical problem. Probability suggests the vessel is seeking evidence of mathematical sophistication. Then we answer, Velthar decided. Broadcast all known approaches to the problem, every species' attempt at proof. Surely something in our combined knowledge— No, Amy interrupted, and Ryan's heart stopped at his daughter's audacity. But she continued, undeterred. They asked the question in human mathematics. Maybe they want a human answer. She held up her data pad. I can't prove it, not the whole thing. But I can show them we're trying. I can show them the pattern I found in my homework. It's probably wrong, but it's human. It's how we think. Velthar looked at Ryan, and Ryan saw the galaxy's weight in that gaze. His daughter, his precious Amy, offering humanity's best attempt at first contact with an intelligence that crossed space at near light speed. Do it, Ryan said. 22 minutes. Amy's sequence broadcasted outward, a child's earnest attempt at one of mathematics' deepest mysteries. It was incomplete, flawed by the standards of doctoral researchers. But it was creative, intuitive, approaching the problem from angles that machine logic rarely considered. The tower held its breath. 5 minutes. 4. 3. The vessel began to decelerate. They're responding, the AI announced. Translating now. A new message flooded the channels, and this time it came in clear standard. Thank you for thinking with us. We have been alone for so long. The Riemann legacy thought we were the last. We had to know if curiosity still lived in this galaxy, if mathematics still sparked joy. Your young one has shown us that it does. May we speak? Ambassador Velthar's crystalline form seemed to glow with an inner light. He looked down at Amy and then at Ryan, and in that moment, the servant and his daughter stood as tall as any being in the council. On behalf of the Galactic Council, Velthar said formally, and at the recommendation of our human colleagues, we welcome the Riemann legacy to peaceful discourse. Amy smiled, still clutching her datapad with its imperfect proof. Ryan put his hand on her shoulder, thinking of all the teachers who'd told her to aim lower, to be practical. Sometimes, he thought, the most practical thing humans could offer the galaxy was their impractical refusal to stop reaching for the stars. Even when, especially when, they were just learning to stand.